Good morning. I'm Yvonne DuVal, she, her pronouns, and I'm the music director here at this lovely congregation. I look forward to sharing this morning's service in leadership with Rev. Bran Lennox. Whoever you are, wherever you live, whomever you love, whatever you do for a living, you are welcome at the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg. We invite you to join us for coffee hour following this morning's service, right across the hallway here in Fuller Chapel, or on Zoom. I invite you to take this moment to hold our space here as sacred by silencing your electronic devices and preparing yourself to be present. Online or in person, we're grateful for this time together.
Is the moment for shining on. It's all right to cry, but keep your eyes on the prize. Now is the moment for shining on. The world needs our light more than ever. Now is the moment joining hands. It's all right to cry, but keep your eyes on the prize. Now is the moment for joining hands. The world needs our love more than ever.
Each week it is our tradition to light a chalice which casts a circle of light to hold us all. As we create anew this symbol of our shared faith, let's reflect on these words by Michel Legrave. We come to religious community from many paths and with diverse needs. If you have come here seeking comfort, may your pain be soothed. If you have come here looking for answers, may you find new questions. If you have come here seeking purpose, may your call be awakened. If you have come here hoping to build a new way, may the path open before you.
We affirm our mission to encourage, equip, and empower, and we ask that you join in the affirmation of our covenants with one another.
Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning. Is it on? Okay. Yeah, all right. All right. So today's story is about a toolbox for hard times, and it's by Tara Humphreys. So I kind of already gave you a clue, but so what is this? A toolbox, right. So what do you put in a toolbox? Just shout it out. What kind of tools? No, that's not what I was looking for. Hammers, saws, yes. Pliers, a screwdriver, yes. How about a tape measure? Yes, all those things. I'm sorry? Useful things, very good. Really? Yes. What about a chainsaw? No. So what do we use the toolbox for? Like, why have a toolbox? To carry your tools. How about this? This is something I just learned. It's to keep everything in one place. When I get home today, I'm going to mention that to my husband. 27, the other day, I counted his tape measures. I didn't find all of them, but we found 27 tape measures. He said, well, each one has its own purpose. So here we go. Sometimes when something is broken and I need to fix it, I'm not sure exactly what I need to fix the item. So I go to my box where everything is stored, and then I just go through the options there to try to fix that item. So we could also think of a toolbox as coping skills for our spiritual and emotional tools. When we're going through a hard time, when we have a broken heart, or we're really scared or angry or overwhelmed with grief, we can think about what tools we have or what practices we have that might help us take care of ourselves in that hard time. Can anyone think of a spiritual or emotional tool that we might have in our toolbox? Meditation. Prayer. Exercise. Music. Nature. Yes. Community. Yes. All of these. So obviously, there's a lot of tools that we can put in our spiritual toolbox, which is absolutely amazing in these times. We need this. And we have so many options, different ways to take care of ourselves when things are really hard. One of the reasons it's important to think of all these tools living in your hard times toolbox is because sometimes we might try one and it doesn't work. And it's easy to think, oh no, nothing is going to help me get through this. If we remember that it was just one of many tools that wasn't quite right, we can return to the box and try something else. I know for me, I like to be out in nature. As many of you know, I enjoyed vacation last week. And I come back and it just really nourishes my soul. I was able to put the news aside and just focus on the joy of life. So sometimes when things are feeling really, really hard, it's possible that none of those tools or practices in your box feel like enough. It's like if you were trying to cut down a huge tree with a small handsaw, and like I mentioned earlier, chainsaw, that's what we need. It might not fit in this box, but we have another box we can go to. Sometimes what we really need is to reach out for help from someone like a therapist or our minister, our grown-ups, a doctor, or a teacher, someone who can remind us of the tools we have, help us get new ones, and lend us theirs to try out. The point of a toolbox is not that you have every single tool or practice you'll ever need, but that you have a starting point for trying. The more we practice using these tools and the more we ask for help from others, the better we get at taking care of ourselves and each other when times are really tough. We might not have all that we need alone, but together we have everything that we need. Thank you. And now we will sing our children to their classes.
It was a crisp, sunny morning in Platteville, Colorado. Like every other weekday morning, I rushed out the door, toddler in tow, attempting to prevent yet another tardy to work. The commute to Boulder was a bit of a nuisance after dropping off Taryn at daycare, but the 40 minutes allowed me to blissfully listen to my audiobooks and forget about any real-life anxieties. As I approached Boulder, the weather started to take a sinister turn. As the saying in Colorado goes, wait, don't like the weather? Drive 10 miles or wait 10 minutes. Unfortunately, the snow was relentless and didn't show any signs of letting up. By the time I arrived, there was already a couple inches of snow blanketing the roads. I walked inside work only to express concern to my manager, and the roads were getting bad and the uncertainty of whether or not daycare would remain open. He graciously sent me back out into the storm to pick up my child and head home. As I'm driving back, I get the expected call that they are closing due to the inclement weather, and I need to pick her up as soon as possible. I shared that I was already on my way, but with a healthy respect for winter driving conditions, it was slow going with many cars already spinning off the roads. By the time I arrived, Taryn was the last child to be picked up. Onward, we traveled to get home. Finally, less than half a mile from our house, I can see the A-frame of our house, much like this church. Traffic comes to a complete stop. In the middle of the intersection, there was a major accident. My house is literally on the other side of that intersection. But I'm also not foolish enough to drive miles of circuitous country roads that are icy to get to my house from the opposite direction. So instead, we pulled into the gas station that we frequented most mornings for real breakfast burritos. I'm sorry, Pennsylvania, but haven't found that yet here. We quickly discovered that power was out, hence the accident at the light, and they wouldn't allow electronic payments. Despite being a regular, the attendant would not allow me to write a check for any purchases. I, of course, did not have any cash on hand, but I did have one hangry toddler. As I was on the phone with my parents, letting them know we were safe, my dad asked if I still had the emergency backpack in the trunk of my car that he had gifted me many years ago. Of course, that's how I'm going to feed my child. I excitedly opened the trunk to find it wasn't there. Allow me to go back to my childhood. As I've shared previously in this space, I was raised in Colorado Springs, Colorado, home of Focus on the Family, and with pretty conservative parents. What I have not previously shared is that my family was borderline preppers. Nothing worthy of airing on an episode of Doomsday Preppers, but certainly cautious. There were always months, if not years, of food and water on hand, as well as weapons. We had plans for various situations, meeting locations, and emergency routes. Paper maps, go bags, and weekends spent backpacking, fishing, or snowshoeing. I learned a lot of valuable skills over those years, but struggled with the conspiracy theory talk of needing to be well prepared for apocalyptic level events. While I won't go into details since this is streaming online, I now recognize as an adult that both my father and his father worked jobs that gave them a higher level of awareness than your average citizen. Eventually, my dad was at least able to convince me that ensuring you have enough food and water on hand to survive natural disasters was smart. Hence why I have never admitted to my dad to this day that my backpack was not in the trunk that day. Back to the gas station, waiting alongside a dozen others and a whiny toddler, the clerk finally feels bad and gives Taryn a donut. While this was very kind, Taryn was starving shortly thereafter. I decided it was time for us to cross the streets to the other country gas station. They also didn't have power and couldn't accept checks, but instead of turning us away, they told us to take whatever we needed and pay them back some other time, all with genuine smiles on their faces. I was flabbergasted. They had a piece of paper where they were writing everything down and clearly had been at it for hours. I took $8 worth of gas station food and beverages, a bag of trail mix, and 2 drinks. Enough to fill our bellies, but not so much to look greedy. Shortly thereafter, traffic finally cleared, and Taryn and I made it home safely, over 7 hours after we left the house that morning. That day, I realized I missed an important lesson from my childhood upbringing. Often in the prepper community, there's an idea of not sharing with others what stockpiles you have, as you don't want your unprepared neighbor showing up at your house in a time of need. However, I realized that day that our survival in an emergency will require us to work together as a community. The simple act of giving my family food when we needed it has never been forgotten, no matter how small. When I returned to the gas station to pay my tab, I handed them a $20 bill and asked them to keep the change to help cover any unpaid tabs. They shared with me that virtually everybody else had done the exact same thing. So the gas station owner likely made a little bit of money that day. This space, this community, this is the community I choose to be part of as we boldly face the future that comes. Thank you for your presence and cultivation of this beloved community, which we lovingly tend to each and every day.
Let us always listen for and recognize the sound of truth and love. Sometimes the common pulse loses its way, and often we try to work together. We speak, they speak, the voices of we and they differ, but we listen, we try. And sometimes resolution. And then some things are hard to talk about. But they are true things. But rising up, we hear the voice of compassion and justice. That is often drowned out by another voice, the loudest voice. And nothing makes sense. But humanity recalls its heartbeat, a sound it cannot ignore, a common pulse, a common thread, and there is hope. And when the heartbeat of one hears the heartbeat of another, we will recognize our family.
Now is the time when we engage as a community in the sharing of our joys and sorrows, our concerns and milestones. When we join together to hold each other in support and in celebration, we deepen our sense of interrelationship. We may find our sorrows eased and our joys magnified. I invite you to share them now through writing them on a slip or typing them in the virtual chat. Please indicate whether your message is okay to share out loud. You can also honor whatever you are holding in your heart by placing a stone into the water of community. Please come down the center aisle, returning to your seats by the side aisles. Spoken or unspoken, our hearts join with yours in carrying all that life brings. of all of those who are with us in spirit and yet not in body. Karen Sykes shares, feeling very frustrated that the government emailed our ESL friends on Friday to tell them they are not welcome in our country. Uncertain times. Larry is taking joy in looking out the window at the blooming serviceberry. Wenji is with us this morning. He says, "Good morning, everyone. I am very happy today because I can be in the service with you. I wish everyone an excellent week of Easter. Be blessed all." Susan Stillman shares, "I am grateful that my recent breast cancer surgery went well and that I won't need chemo." Thankful for the love and support I've received from the congregation. Kevin Geist shares a concern. He says, concern for one of our English students named Vincent, whose family in Haiti had their home ransacked and robbed by gangs. There are now 22 people taking refuge in that home, and Vincent struggles to help them buy food. Nancy Hall, Shalama, shares with us, I am gravely concerned and grieving the changes that the current administration, MAGA and Project 2025, are attempting to rapidly implement that threaten our rights and so many other things too numerous to list here. It is a joy to see many UUs at the protests. I have the great joy for the opportunity to go on an Aramaic Heaven retreat this weekend. And also, it was a joyous experience to be part of the tree planting project. Nancy says, I have great gratitude for the amazing leadership, hardworking planters, and generous folks who donated food and drinks. Another joy was driving around Harrisburg with the leftover food to share it with hungry, unhoused folks. They expressed much gratitude. Sebastian shares some joy with us today as well. Sebastian says, my fiance got a job. But more importantly, I passed the test and am now a licensed clinical social worker. Congratulations, Bastian. For all that we hold in our hearts and yet remains unspoken, we journey with each other in love.
Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to presence. Listen to prayer. Be still and breathe. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to presence, listen to prayer. Be still and breathe. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to presence, listen to prayer. Be still and breathe.
We join together in the spirit of reflection and meditation. When we join our voices in song, when we sway our bodies to the rhythm, we invite our heartbeats to synchronize. We begin to center ourselves knowing that we are not alone in all that we hold. We help each other open up to be able to regard those things which are impossible to face alone. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to heartache, listen to grief. Be still and breathe. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to heartache, listen to grief. Be still and breathe. Big change is tearing through our way of life, forcing us to leave behind so much that we had built before. Our days and our places seem unfamiliar. Everywhere we turn, it seems like there is more uncertainty and more fear. In our own lives, in our community, and in our world, we have lost so much. Lost loved ones, lost relationships, lost jobs, lost savings, lost health. And perhaps worst of all, we may have lost faith in the future and in our fellow humans. Grief is an everyday companion, and our hearts are sore. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to anger, listen to hurt. Be still and breathe. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to anger, listen to hurt. Be still and breathe. Oppression is rampant in our lives today. Anger rises up hot and hollow at the injustices we witness and bear. Our beloved immigrant friends and neighbors are being expelled from their homes, sent to other parts of the world where they may face untold dangers. Our queer and trans kin are being dehumanized. Our siblings of color are being targeted and threatened once again. Reproductive rights and the rights of women are under attack. Disabled and elderly people are being left without the resources needed to survive. And on and on and on this onslaught seems to rage. When will we begin to see our efforts to support the whole beloved community gain traction? When will we see some glimmer on the horizon? Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to beauty, listen to grace. Be still and breathe. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to beauty, listen to grace. Be still and breathe. Amid all this fear and hurt, in this present moment, there are beautiful things happening. Spring is arriving, and nature has graced us once more with a landscape of flowers. We awake to birdsong as our hearts awake to new levels of caring and commitment. We watch one another in spaces like these become our fiercest, strongest, most defiantly yes selves. We see each other choosing this, choosing relationship, choosing kindness, choosing to speak up for what is right even in the face of fear. We offer each other forgiveness for our previous quibbles and quarrels, understanding that this togetherness is valuable beyond all else. We are saved from the threat of despair by small moments of wonder, again and again. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to gladness, listen to joy. Be still and breathe. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to gladness, listen to joy. Be still and breathe. In our knowledge that this is not the end, that the story continues on and on, we find gladness. Looking up to the stars and knowing that our lives on earth are but a tiny spark in this great dance. Gathering once more with these beloved people who bring us hope and joy, we embrace the power of our togetherness. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to you, listen to me. Be still and breathe. Be still and breathe. Be still and be. Listen to you, listen to me. Be still and breathe. I love writing sermons. Thank you, Cordell. It often feels like a gift to myself. I get to spend time in deep consideration of a compelling idea and then share that idea with people who I think might enjoy receiving it. I usually learn a little something in the process, and I get to frame it all in a nice, tidy story from some point in my life where I was once cracked and now am filled with gold, and the teacher in me rejoices. But this week, I don't have the luxury of this pattern. I don't get to tell a tidy story because I haven't got this all figured out, believe it or not. Far from it. I am as much a human being as you are, and I have been going through the same grief, loss, confusion, overwhelm, and depression that most of you have. This is awful, right? Yes, okay. There is no feel-good lesson here, and at least not yet. I can't offer you any answers, but I can offer you the only thing I have. A promise that if you keep showing up as your best self, I will do the same, and we'll try to continue forward through this storm together. Realistically speaking, I have to get up and try tomorrow, and you do too, in your own way. So I'm going to attempt to provide some guidance for both of us, and maybe we'll work through this together. I think the first thing we need to sort through here is spiritual bypassing. This is a term that refers to the toxic tendency in spiritual communities to gloss over the difficult things instead of grappling with them. In Christian spaces, people might say, God has a plan, or the Lord never gives you more than you can handle. In more New Agey settings, people talk about the law of attraction. Negative thoughts will attract negative energy, so think positive. Even phrases like keep calm and carry on represent a sort of civic spiritual bypassing. It can feel easier to skate over the surface of pain than to get down and explore the depths. But pain is a real part of life. Grief and anger and fear are real, and stuffing them down can have catastrophic results. The undealt with emotions inevitably take a toll on our bodies, or get shunted into addictive behaviors, or get expressed in ways that we neither intend nor are aware of. And sometimes we even end up hurting others as a result. Facing the tough stuff is non-optional. So I'm not going to be telling you to keep your chin up, or trust in the universe, or stay optimistic. When bright spots do come along, we should absolutely dwell in them and celebrate them as much as possible, but we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable too. I remember years ago when I finally made some progress on my post-traumatic stress recovery. I had this incredibly strong image in my mind. I felt like I had been running down hallways inside of my own mind for years, covering my ears and trying not to catch sight of the monsters that were behind every door. And as I began to recover, I was able to let the doors open and see that the monsters behind them were awful, yes, but with help and my toolbox, I could handle it. I don't know about you, but recently I've been spending an awful lot of my free time totally checked out. I'm scrolling the internet or listening to audiobooks or playing easy games, whatever will drown out my thoughts. And I know this is because my nervous system is overloaded, and I don't think I can handle the stress of whatever is behind those closed doors right now. Little by little, lately, I've been working on gentle ways to help myself be present and regulated. Time in nature is a big help, as is lavishing my dogs with affection. I've been trying to turn off the podcasts when I do my physical therapy exercises and just pay attention to my body. Whenever possible, I've been tuning into bids for attention from the people who love me. Whether it's making an effort to respond to a text from a friend or pausing to really sink into a good hug, those moments of connection are worth being present for. And even though it's extremely important to rest and take breaks, I have to make time to intentionally interface with the scary stuff. Rather than avoiding my spouse when they want to talk about the news, I ask them to keep mealtimes free from current events, and then put aside at least a few minutes every day to discuss the news and our feelings about it. Rather than being plagued by constant updates and commentary online or simply sticking my head in the sand, I've signed up for a daily newsletter that will sum up important points for me. After informing myself to avoid extensive nervous system regulation, I need to make some centering actions, whether that's practicing an instrument or seeking supportive co-regulation. One part of connection which has been incredibly necessary lately is the choice to be patient and forgiving with others as well as with myself. This doesn't mean failing to uphold my boundaries or giving myself carte blanche to act out. It does mean remembering who my allies are and not wasting energy making bigger problems out of things that we could just let go. It means when I realize I said the wrong thing or was awkward or didn't show up as the self I wanted to be, I don't cancel myself or decide I've ruined everything. I choose to keep showing up and try to let my best self be seen whenever possible. Making peace with awkwardness can't be underestimated right now. We are breaking down and recreating social norms. We are being called to learn new histories and systems of oppression. We are often too exhausted to be consistently gracious. Politeness exists as the most efficient way to soften social interaction. And politeness is, in many ways, inaccessible right now. We have to soften social interaction the more energy-intensive way, through authenticity and intentional kindness. This is hard, and we will often struggle, but it's also excellent practice for living in covenant. We are going to come out of this as a community of unimaginable strength. Even with the support of gracious and present community, there are some painful realities that we just can't escape from right now. In my best estimation, the truth is that for the time being, we are in an unwinnable situation. The rule book has been thrown out, and the people making all the decisions seem to have very little regard for the human life when it comes to those who are not already at the top of the power ladder. Our democratic systems don't seem to be capable of protecting us from these abuses. We are left scrambling, and on a personal scale, there is very little we can do in hopes of setting things right. But what we are not going to do is give up and just try to make ourselves as comfortable as we can. We are not going to allow ourselves to be overcome by fear and comply in advance. We are not going to make it easy for the systems of injustice which go against everything we hold dear to proceed unopposed. We are going to remember that history looks back on those who did nothing during times like these and judges them as accomplices. Even as this situation is unwinnable, I believe it is transformable. And no, I don't know what that means on a large scale. What I do know is that on a personal scale, in the moments of my life when I have felt the most howlingly helpless, the only way to move forward was to transform, to reconceive of what I believed possible within myself, and to reconfigure the situation by changing my relationship to it. This transformation was and is agonizing. I am not grateful for it, and I wish it were not necessary. But it did happen, and I can engage equanimity around that. I can work to receive things as they are rather than as I wish they had been. And here's what I want to do differently this time. In the past, when I have needed to radically transform in order to move forward, it was a very individual and internal process. Other people helped, certainly, but it was about me learning to address my untenable issue. And in today's world, we are often still trying to apply individualistic recovery strategies to collective issues. The most practiced tools we have around self-regulation are going to therapy, getting exercise, taking care of our bodies. In fact, we've even removed what interpersonal dynamic there used to be for many of these activities by replacing the therapist with an app or the hiking buddy with a pair of headphones. I believe technology can have a powerful role in improving people's lives, but it's important that we do not use it to replace human connection. AI is not actually an intelligence. It's just a machine spitting answers back at you. Our pain right now is collective, and we need to address it collectively. Yes, it's good to use your tools to help yourself utilize maximum inner coping power. But you aren't wrong for feeling bad right now. The suffering present in the world at this moment is on a massive, massive scale, and healing can't come from just me or just you. In our culture, at least, it's sort of impossible to be both starkly rational and see beyond the illusion of individual personhood. We are undeniably all a part of something much bigger than ourselves, and yet we experience our lives from the perspective of one singular human mind. To seek healing on a collective level, I find that I need to embrace a little bit of magical thinking. It is superstitious of me to believe that I experience less scarcity when I am more generous. And yet my experience of my means expands from the simple act of giving to somebody else. It's unscientific of me to believe that I experience less exhaustion when I develop and maintain a relationship with the land, and yet I feel a need for less rest after sitting on a rock in the middle of a stream, silently conversing with the landscape for a few minutes every week. It feels irrational to believe that praying makes me a better minister, and yet when I pray before meetings, those present in the room feel more present and connected, and I can find the words which they need to hear more easily. It borders on laughable to believe that I can mentally break down the barrier between myself and others simply by imagining us as different embodiments of the same larger human spirit. And yet, going out to take part in social community feels 1,000 times more manageable when I do. When I think I'm not trapped as me and you're not trapped as you, we're the same. We're just having different experiences of that. When do you feel the constraints of your individuality begin to soften? When is it clearest to you that you are part of something greater? When can you allow yourself to choose or believe in order to increase that sense of real interconnectedness? I'm going to try something in the next few weeks, and I hope that you will too, so we can compare notes later. I'm going to try paying attention to the call of that sense of what if, and lean into moments which take me beyond my sense of my own singular little life. I'm going to explore what kind of power I can become a part of when I stop trying to do this alone. Collective liberation means all of us or none of us, so I can't leave myself out of the equation, and neither can you. The power of the unjust hierarchy lies in the illusion of separateness. The power of the unjust hierarchy lies in the illusion of separateness. So let's use the truth of our interconnectedness to take that away from those who would rather be separate than healed. Transformation may not be within reach soon, and perhaps not even within our lifetimes. But we can and must take part in it now anyway. The gift of embracing our interconnectedness appears once more in the idea that we will live on in the generations yet to come. So even if we in this room do not get to experience a better world within our own individual nervous systems, we will have the joy of it through the experiences of those humans and all living beings who come after us. And this I believe, and may it be so.
Good morning, everybody. pause for technical difficulties. On the first Sunday of the month, I travel back in time for my spiritual growth. My first stop is York County's historic Quaker meeting. I spend an hour in silent contemplation, but more often than not so silent. I don't sit still well, shocking for those that know me, on the handmade pine bench. It is as hard as the crumbling gravestones outside, which date to the mid to late 1700s. The creaks I make seem doubly amplified by the well-trodden wooden floorboard planks. Despite the noise, there is a collective, quiet reflection on the Quaker principles during the meeting. These principles can be easily remembered by the acronym SPICES: simplicity, peace, integrity, community, equality, and stewardship. For Quakers, stewardship encourages us to examine our gifts, time, and talent. We must discern when to use them, how to restore them to the world, and where to share them generously. So in the spirit of speaking with simplicity, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on these ideas and consider how you might, as the Quakers say, let your life speak in practicing stewardship this week. My next time traveling adventure is anything but silent. I spend 3 hours singing with loud abandon in the shape note tradition. The rhythmic a cappella harmonies from these songs date back to the early 1800s. There's a gamut of themes from parting to praise, and some of these songs actually find their way into our hymnals. Holy Manna is one of my favorite tunes about stewardship, and it goes something like this. Brethren, we have met to worship and adore the Lord our God. Will you pray with all your power while we try to preach the word? All is vain unless the Spirit of the Holy One comes down. Brethren, pray, and holy manna will be showered all around. Brethren, pray, and holy manna will be showered all around. I pray this week for you to find ways to practice stewardship and discover joy in giving to others.
That lovely reflection was our last stewardship testimonial of this season. Thank you to those of you who have already turned in your pledge forms. If you are a member of this church and have not yet turned in your pledge form, it is not too late. Members of the team are here today to be of assistance. If you would like to fill out a form now and pass it in with the offering, please give a wave, and a member of the team will bring one to you. You can also stop by the stewardship table during coffee hour, where team members will be available to help you out and answer any questions that you have. Remember, the more completed pledge forms we have, the more accurate our finance team can be while setting next year's budget. Your participation is vital to the well-being of this community. Please be nice to Chris and Kathy and turn in your form.
The Unitarian Church of Harrisburg is, as always, an intentionally gathered congregation of freely thinking, loving people. The church is created and sustained and supported by us. For the month of April, we are sharing with the Columbia Dream Center. Columbia Dream Center serves the people in the area of Columbia, PA, who seek assistance toward a better life by filling needs and healing hurts. It serves more than 6,000 people each month through its soup kitchen, food pantry, clothing bank, Restart Day Center, and shelter. If you wish to contribute online, visit uchbg.org and scroll to the bottom of the page for options. You may also scan the QR code found on the back of your order of service. Your financial support and commitment matter. Please consider giving what you are able.
We dedicate these gifts to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of compassion and action, faith and fellowship, hope and wholeness.
From Anna Bladel in Fleshed. Life is a gorgeous experiment, or at least life is an experiment. Wild and precious and over too soon, Mary Oliver reminds us. Experiments are messy, indeterminate, unpredictable by their very nature, wrought with failure too. And so is life. Aren't we lucky then that some of us are practiced in transforming failure into an art form? We who are alive, we who are messy and exhausted, we who are overwhelmed, wrung out, terrified, as everything and everyone we love comes under assault. We are part of this gorgeous experiment of life. And here I want to insist on the gorgeous because we are gorgeous. We are heartbroken and heartbreak healing. We are hardened and hardness cracking open, softening. We are invitations into life lived otherwise. We are magic being kindled. We are dreams unwilling to be contained. We are entire prayers whispered, sung, wailed, received, answered. We are holy, whole, and wholly deserving of love. We are, hallelujah, amen. We are divinity enfleshed. We are possibilities emerging. We are making life livable everywhere. We are making love, making art, making poetry, making song, making shelter, making home with and for each other. We are making each other possible. With and for each other, we become possible. With and for each other, life becomes possible. I'd like to invite some of our choir members to please join me up here by the piano to assist with our closing song.
made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary of you. Make us aware we are sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary of you. Make us aware we are sanctuary, each made holy. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary of you. We are the ones we've been waiting. We are the ones we've been waiting.
We are the ones we've been waiting. We are the ones we've been waiting.
Make us aware we are sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew. In the words of James Galasinski, our faith, like a light, illuminates the path before us so that we can face hurt with love, cultivate compassion, live humbly in community, and confront despair with the awe of life. Though our flame is extinguished, our faith shines bright before us.